So my name is G. Horton. I'm a visual artist based here in Cincinnati. I'm fairly new in the art space. Started making art in 2018, self-taught, and in 2020 I quit my job in corporate America in reaction to COVID and what was happening in the world, and I started making art full time. My work is centered around my photorealistic drawings, which really explore the complexity of the human condition in so many different ways. I use it as a platform and an opportunity to tell stories and connect with people. As a kid, I knew I was really talented in art making. Somewhere along my journey, I put it down. But luckily, I was able to gravitate back to it. And in 2018, I just started drawing. And that led to this creative impulse. It connected me to the inner child that I once was, that was obsessed with drawing. I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky, the West End of Louisville, Kentucky, humble beginnings. And I think that has helped shape and mold the way that I see the world, the way that I interact with people. I believe that we all have some value in some capacity, regardless of our differences. And I tend to approach that thinking when making art. Regardless of who you are, where you come from, my hope is that you see something that draws you to my work in some capacity. And it's that desire to connect with people. It's what drives me as an artist. I laugh and I tell people the life that I lived before I stepped into this G. Horton person who's making art full time, which is comprised of, I coached college basketball at one point in my life, Division I college basketball here at Xavier and other universities. I worked in a nonprofit here in Cincinnati. I worked in corporate America. I worked in the hospital systems. I'd done a lot of different things before I discovered my passion to make art. And I'm grateful for all of those different lives that I lived. And although I was really good at what I was doing, I felt like there was a disconnect with my passion and my purpose. There was this need to create and tell a story. And the story in this particular case involved this very delicate moment within some of my family members who were transitioning from adolescence to adulthood. I wanted to particularly look at my niece and nephew and focus on their transition. And through their transition allows me room to squeeze in stories of my own lived experience. And so they became my models, my muses, if you will. It was really that connection to what was happening in front of my eyes. And I knew creatively I had so many different stories that I wanted to highlight and tell. And they were the inspiration. The Weston Art Gallery gave me my first solo show. It's often unheard of for a person who didn't have any formal training, background, and quite frankly, didn't come from the art canon. It was a step that allowed the narrative around my work and the identity that I was trying to step into as an artist feel legitimate in some kind of ways. One of the things I've always struggled with as a self-taught artist, as a person who didn't go to school, is like, am I worthy of this? And so in a way, it kind of helped solidify me personally. The people at the Weston, though, that's a sweet spot. I felt like it was truly a collaboration. I felt like I presented some ideas and thoughts around how I wanted to exhibit the work and how I wanted to frame the story. And when I presented it to Dennis, he jumped right in the boat and was like, okay, where are we selling to? And for me to have an experience like that in my first show was really impactful. To have a show at the Weston is one thing. To have a great show at the Weston is another, right? I mean, we packed it out. There was a guest book that was on top of a museum pedestal, and it allows space for the visitors and the viewers to write a note. At the end of the exhibition, Dennis, they made a copy of all of the personal notes, and I was able to read them and just sit with them. And I started bawling, crying because of like how much the work, the exhibition affected people, impacted folks in an individual level. Those interactions from people is what really sealed the deal for me and let me know that I was on the right track. It allowed me to really see that this work matters, not just for me, but for the community. And so that has been an incredible push for someone who has just started doing this, making art, and to have, the city receive it and appreciate it in that magnitude was everything for me. Yeah, I think it shifted me in the capacity that anything is possible. And it is, anything is possible. It brought me to this awareness that there's so much more to learn, so much room to grow, which I really resonate with because I don't have it all figured out. I'm still learning. I go back to visit the Weston all the time. I may not make it to the opening, but I find myself seeing just about every exhibition that is up. And I'm learning so much. Artists, they show us what's possible. And sometimes in our human condition, we tend to function under the premise that some things aren't possible. But through art, anything is possible. And so the ability to look at other art and be inspired, be blown away, is what really has impacted me. The Weston has provided a platform for me to get connected to that. I think the arts for me has given me a sense of purpose that I can't quite articulate through words. I will live and die as an artist. This is who I am. There's no going back. What's beautiful about where I come from at this point, at this place in my life, I've lived multiple lives doing different things, but it wasn't until I discovered the arts or until the arts discovered me is when I realized, this is what I was born to do. And I do it in a way where it's not about me. I allow the work to be my extension. I allow the work to be the focal point of the connection. I like to spend time with younger artists. I know in the city, relationships matter, and I love making introductions and seeing how I can be a resource. And so more on an individual, personal level, I find myself being an advocate for the arts through mentorship and connecting and building with other artists or having conversations. As it relates to me and my children, art is the foundation for what legacy looks like and what it would look like for my kids. It's giving them a pathway to explore how arts can show up for them. Kids are the most expressive humans on the planet. At this stage in their lives, there's so much to be said. There's so much processing that's happening. And I think arts gives them an opportunity to let some of it out. I think art is important to our city for so many different reasons. It allows individuals like myself to find purpose. And I'm so grateful that the city believes in the arts. I'm so grateful that the city believes in the creatives that are contributing to making good art in the city and giving us platforms to continue to do so. It's changing lives. It changed my life.